So I'm sure there's a lot of women listening, or people, men, that are taking SSRIs. They think they're helping themselves. And the Western thought is you need it because you have a low serotonin, in a sense, low levels of serotonin. And what you're saying is they're actually excess and making it worse. What are doctors basing their...
It's really sort of fun to read the medical publications. It's similar in the case of estrogen, but in serotonin, for example, instead of measuring the amount of serotonin in the serum and or the amount of breakdown product, hydroxyindole acetic acid in the urine, and seeing correlations between that and symptoms. For example, men with more than 100 nanograms per milliliter of serotonin in their blood serum are tending to be imperfectly fertile or infertile or impotent, the higher it goes. And the normal range is said to be various numbers, but roughly 50 to 250 nanograms per milliliter. But men are sterile at the upper end of that. And when you look at the amount produced by a cell being injured by radiation, it's below 25 nanograms per milliliter until it has been injured by radiation. So I would infer from those in vitro studies that everyone who has more than 25 nanograms per milliliter in their serum is experiencing some sort of inflammatory degenerative process. The articles, instead of looking at those correlations, will say they're measuring, for example, the total serotonin in the whole blood, and they say there's no difference between this group or that group. But it's absolutely decisive whether the serotonin is being bound in the platelets in the blood where it's being carried to the lungs to be destroyed, or whether it has leaked out of the platelets into the serum where it can act on the wall of the blood vessel and the heart and the lung, causing hypertension and fibrosis of the lungs and heart valves and so on. And they will look at the amount of the breakdown product, 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid in the urine, and if it goes up, they'll say, depends on whether they see it corresponding to a good effect or bad effect, but they'll either say that it means that there's less serotonin in the brain when they see more in the urine, because if it's broken down, it can't be acting. In other words, they can choose what they want to interpret as happening in the brain by looking at something very remote, the breakdown product in the urine. And so if your lungs are working effectively to destroy it, you'll see the breakdown product. If the lungs aren't working effectively, you won't see the breakdown product. So it'll look like you might not be experiencing serotonin stimulation when that's exactly why you're experiencing it, because you aren't forming the breakdown product.